Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode here at Tribal Trades, the daily show. And today we're going to talk about, is it time for liftoff? We have an exciting 2 weeks ahead that could define the remainder of the year. We're going to talk about that and a whole bunch more. We're going to look at some trades, some chart setups. Before we do that, smash the like button. This does help get this channel out to more people, and of course does help support the channel. And if you're new to the channel, smash that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, and you'll get those daily updates. So first and foremost, we're going to go over to the SPY. And what can the SPY tell us? Well, it is in the pre-market setting a new all-time high. And why could this possibly be the case? Well, as I have been covering over the last few weeks, the jobs data, it all started with Jackson Hole in Wyoming when Fed Powell came out and stated that they were looking to prioritize the weakening labor market over possible inflation. And so what we saw there was a reaction from the markets. Big data coming today at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, it's likely that you're going to be watching this video and that unemployment data has already come out. Now, of course, if the unemployment shoots up, as people are expecting, as it has been doing, then the Fed would strengthen their case for rate cuts coming around, I believe it's September 17th, September 18th, the FOMC meeting where they will decide, will strengthen their case because the last few months has been a weakening labor market and employment has started to surge and to grow. So today, September 5th, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, those numbers will come out. Now, if those numbers come in as expected, or we see that unemployment begins to go down, that would weaken the Fed's stance as far as rate cuts and lower the possibility of a rate cut come September 17th, 18th. But the general feeling, and it seems like the market is preparing itself by, we see this recent price action here, a jump from 635 all the way up to 650 on the SPY over the last week, is a strong indication that the markets think that unemployment will continue its upward trajectory, and that we will see rate cuts come September, which would be bullish for the markets. And you can see here on the unemployment, United States unemployment rate, we are seeing, after coming down there, we are starting to pop back up, and it'll be interesting to see what it looks like for the following month there, okay? So that's the unemployment data. But also what we have to understand is that on the Bureau of Labor Statistics on September the 9th are going to revising all of this employment data that apparently was incorrect. And it seems as much as 950,000 jobs that we're showing will vanish as these job reports are adjusted. I've got to be careful about the terminology that I use here, but you know where I'm going with this. But somehow there were 950,000 jobs that were credited, and those jobs are now suddenly didn't exist to begin with. And so that, of course, would weaken the labor market there. Then on September 10th and 11th, we have the CPI. Okay, the CPI and the PPI. Now, if they come in mild or cool as expected, then of course that would strengthen the case for the rate cuts. So we have a period between September the 5th today, then September the 9th, where it's quite likely a bunch of jobs are going to vanish. Nothing is guaranteed, of course. We could come in with some really surprising employment numbers. Maybe unemployment will drop, and then the Fed may pause and wait for another month of unemployment data. But then, of course, on the 9th, you have a whole bunch of revisions happening, which could then, this is why I'm saying there are three big events coming up. This is event number one, September 5th. We've got the September 9th revision, jobs report revision, and then September 10th and 11th. we have. So within the next week there are 3 major events which should then lead us up to the September 17th. And of course, if they do announce that rate cut September 17th, September 18th, then that would be bullish for the markets. Now, whether or not that's priced in or not, or becomes priced in, how much more is price going to pump between now and September the 17th and 18th? But I certainly feel like it's better for me to have some position in the market there, because I do feel it's more likely that unemployment will continue to rise and that these jobs reports revisions will remove jobs that were allocated, and that there were some jobs reports that came out that were not accurate. Think of all this time the Fed has been making decision on jobs reports that quite possibly were not accurate. And we've already had, I believe it was about 250,000 jobs that were removed. So let's look at SPY and let's look at some possible trades here. Of course, we're above 649. We're at 650 at the moment. Your next areas of resistance are going to be around just under 652 and then 656, okay? Those are your next levels. Now, remember, I gave the trade all the way back here for an inverse head and shoulders. I've left this line in here from all the way that I gave it. I said a breakout from this level, and our technical target to the upside is 720. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to get there in a straight line, although it looks like we're kind of going there in a straight line. There has been a couple of pullbacks on the way back to the 9 EMA on the weekly time frame there. And of course, we could have a bigger correction. And of course, it can be invalidated if we were to come back below around the $600 level, which is a long way away, by the way. That would be some correction. So the likelihood now is strengthened that we are going to full steam ahead to this target here up in the 720s there. As you can see, around this area here, there's quite a few Fibonacci's there between 718 and 731. So that would be the target to the upside there for the SPY. And of course, as far as support goes, if we were to have some kind of a correction, or the jobs reports were to come in, bearishly, if unemployment were to drop and CPI was to come into really hot, then maybe there won't be a rate cut. And then of course we have the 644 level and 641, 642. I think by the time we get through today, this 20 EMA on the daily is going to be up at this key Fibonacci level of 642. So we got 644, 642, and then down to the 50-day moving average at 632 there as well. So that's very, very interesting. But remember, we had the 9 EMA on the weekly at 635. That has provided incredible support already. So those are some levels to the upside and the downside. Of course, I am leaning bullish, and that the SPY will continue to move up on these much needed and anticipated rate cuts. My general concern will be just that is this priced in? Is by the time we get to September 17th, 18th, is this going to be a sell the news event where we're buying the rumor, and maybe the rumor has been bought for the last few weeks, and we're going to end up have a sell the news event. So just be careful with that. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here. And so Bitcoin is been sitting in between the 9 EMA on the weekly time frame and the 20 EMA on the weekly. You can see it here beautifully as support. This was a key area that I called out as support. We had the tribal trades, the trend line there, one line to rule them all, also holding a support. You saw that it was touched. We also had the green arrow on the daily time frame, and then of course the 9 EMA on the daily were above that. Now we're coming into resistance on the 9 EMA on the weekly time frame right here. You can see how it's been resistance, support. Now it's resistance again. However, we are above the 20 EMA on the daily time frame there. I'll give 112,256 is the 20 EMA on the daily. There's a trade right there. Even if it does get stopped, might be a short little trade up to the 9 EMA on the weekly. However, if we bust above this 9 EMA on the weekly, that will be incredibly bullish. And I would expect us to get to our next target of 113,260, the 50 EMA on the daily, and before heading back up to the 50-day moving average at 115,000. 15,293. Those are my targets to the upside. Now, of course, if we get some bad news come out and it does end up being a bit of a sell the news event, well, of course, we've got the 100-day moving average at 111,785, and then the 9 EMA in the daily at 111,000, pretty much on the dot. And then, of course, we've seen there's not really been much support to the downside, just the tribal trades trend line sitting at about 108,700, and then the 20 EMA and the weekly down at about $108,000 on the dot. So those are your levels, and you can see this nice green dot on the daily. On the weekly time frame, let's have a look. We are finally oversold on the weekly time frame. We could see a nice curl here where the blue goes above the red and then comes into the neutral zone. That would be incredibly bullish, and that would also be an opportunity to take a trade. We saw last time the tribal trades indicator, one indicator to rule them all, gave a really good signal to get out of the market there, and then that was a great signal. And then, of course, we're looking like we might have that signal there, a green dot. But we do have the daily green dot. That's been enough for me. And back in the trades, as I shared earlier, and also in the Discord as well. Now, I do want to share a couple of other trades here with you. Solana is one of those trades. This has been quite bullish, and I will share these levels again. We have these 9 EMA on the daily time frame at 203 currently, all the way down to the 20 EMA on the daily. So this area here is my buy zone between 199 and 203. Anytime we see any dip into this area to accumulate here, of course, if we were to lose that area, that would be my sign to get out of the trade, because coming back to 187 is a strong possibility if we do get that sell the news. Now, of course, to the upside, we have been stopping here at 210. Has been huge resistance to the upside. We tried to get above it. We had a couple of candles above here we had daily close, and then we came straight back down again. So this 210 level, this now ceiling would become a floor, and we hold that level. That could be an additional entry there if you did miss this 199 to 203 level there. And of course, 218, 226. We've got starting to get a little bit of clear air there. We could really take off. And the reason I'm highlighting Solana, because even if you look on the weekly time frame, it has been incredibly bullish. It is one of the more bullish. You've got the low and then a higher low. You've got the W formation. Now you've got a higher high, but also it has its ETF coming out possibly in October. The SEC is going to make the final decisions on ETFs between around October 10th and 14th, and they must make a decision. They delay. This is the final line in the sand. My strong feeling is that they will approve this decision. It could end up being a bit of a sell the news event, because we could really pump into that. And this is why I'm getting positioned in Solana there as well. And of course, if you do want to join the Tribal Trades Discord, we saw some wonderful wins here. The wins column for the crew, the Down Under crew, trading during the night on the Asian session there. Rambunk, great trade as well. Kicking back 360. April Parker, as always, crushing it in the Discord. Too early Rod and a bunch of others there with some great trades. I know that Texan had her biggest win ever on Amazon. Absolutely fantastic. If you do want to join the Tribal Trades Discord, there is a link below in the description of this video. Okay, you might need to click the more button. That will pop out, and there will be a link there. You can get on the wait list for the Tribal Trades Discord, because we are currently closed at the moment. Okay, and we will reopen sometime before the end of this year. I don't have a date for this yet, but what I've decided to do for September is I am adding at least one person from the wait list to the Tribal Trades Discord every day. This month, there will be somebody, at least one person will be added to the Tribal Trades Discord there. And so the sooner you get on the wait list, the sooner you can get access to the Tribal Trades Discord, which gives you the Tribal Trades Indicator, which is a paid indicator. You get that as part of joining the Tribal Trades Discord. And of course, we have all the live sessions, the life-changing gains trading course, the cheat sheet, and a whole bunch more there as well. Well, that's all we have time for today. So until the next episode, or until I see you on the Discord, happy trading.